Welcome back to BarrelNgrain. Tonight we have Shenks Homestead Sour Mash Whiskey. So a lot of you realize, or some of you guys just don't realize, this is actually Michter's product. Unless you really know about it, we've heard about it, or you've actually read the bottle. Most people don't actually realize that's where it's come. I actually saw this sitting at a store on the bottom shelf, and actually had 2 or 3 bottles, and a lot of people didn't even realize that's what it was. Some people call this secret Michter's. There's this one here, and there's also Baumburgers, which is right back there behind me, which I have not got the crack open yet. Almost made a mistake there. Whew, man, a little rough. So, pour a little bit, give it a little bit of airtime. So this is supposed to have substantial rye. It's named Shenks Homestead because it's named after John Shank, who I believe was in the Lebanon County. It's at Schaeferstown. It was originally John Shanks, and then eventually sold to Baumburgers, and eventually became Michter's later on. Curious to see how their tasting notes and smells all compare to what it actually is. On the nose, the website itself says it's toasty, a little bit of molasses and spice. Definitely has the spice. I kind of see maybe a little bit of the molasses in there. It seems pretty accurate from what they're saying. The other big thing is sour mash whiskey. It's not actually a bourbon, so it doesn't have this the same due process you have to make this be listed as a bourbon. This is back set, so that's where the sour mash name comes from. This is the 2022. Comes in at 91.2 proof, so proof overall is pretty decent. This is like batch 993 of 1,231. Which surprised in my area, I actually saw quite a few of these. Really excited about this because I am a Pennsylvania native, so curious to see how this turned out, especially something with this amount of history. The back of, if you really have time to look at the website and look through it, they have a really great story and really great detail of the history about how it became what it is. Definitely has the spice to it, and it does says it actually has a lot of substantial rye in this mix. So I'm really curious to see how this comes about. Oh yeah. It's not too bad. So I do get a lot of spice. Maybe a slight bit of honey. That rye really comes out on the nose though. The point of like you can, on the nose alone, you can almost mistake this for a rye whiskey. It's actually really good. Really reminds me of a soft version of a rye whiskey. So I didn't actually see anywhere where it listed the mash bill itself. It's really just a whiskey that was made to be able to celebrate the heritage of what was Michter's, where they came from. I mean, on the finish is medium. The whiskey itself, I want to say, it's not thin. It's definitely not thick. It's right in the middle. They list their finish on the website as smooth and delicate. I can understand the smoothness. It does have that very cooling feeling when it goes down, but it does still have the bite of the rye. I'm not sure where they got the delicate from. But overall, this is actually done in French. It's toasted French oak barrels. So on the website, the 2022 batch says it was actually done there. That actually should be able to give it a lot of that fruit flavor help really bring more of the fruit and sweetness to the whiskey, which is already heavy on the rye. So overall, this is not bad. MSRP comes in right around $80. It's, overall, I'd probably give this like a 7, 7.5. So overall, this was decent. $80. Would I pay $80 probably again for it? Probably not. I don't know if this is $80 worth, but it has a great story behind it. It's definitely worth trying out. You really can mistake this for a rye because it is very heavy on the rye, just like it says it's supposed to. The French oak barrels do kind of help sweeten it up a little bit, so it's not like a real punch in the mouth rye, but it's a very soft, easy to drink, heavy rye bourbon. Well, not bourbon, sorry, whiskey. Yeah, it's not bad. So, can't we try out the Bomb Burgers, which actually is a Kentucky straight bourbon compared to where this is just a whiskey because it doesn't meet those aspects needed to become a bourbon. Overall, this is pretty decent. I would probably pay more in the 50, 60 range, maybe. I don't know if it's quite worth 80. I understand the history and everything behind it. It is very heavy on the rye. So, if you're very high rye whiskey drinker, whether it's your high rye bourbon, you might just be a rye whiskey drinker in general. If you're that type of person, I would really look into this because you're really going to like this. If you're not really a high rye or you're not really big on the spice, might not be quite your cup of tea. It might not be something you want to spend $80 on. But overall, the product I'd probably give it 7, 7.5, right around there, maybe 7.25, because it's exactly what it says it is. It claims to be a substantial rye whiskey, not actually rye, but substantially heavy rye, and it also comes in at right around 90 proof, so it's not burning taste buds. It's not overly strong. It's an easy, heavy rye whiskey. So that's my review for tonight. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you learned a little bit, and just like I did, researching this bottle and finding out and trying new things. Hopefully I'll see you again. You stick around and we'll see the Bomb Burgers. Try that out in the next one, and then see how that compares to this. So like, comment, subscribe, and until then, keep hunting.